The diamond caught the light as Bailey twirled her hand, showing off my wedding ring to the gathered guests at her rehearsal dinner. My stomach twisted into knots as I watched her parade around, accepting compliments for something that wasn't hers to wear. That ring was the last gift James gave me before the accident. And now this woman, my future sister-in-law, was wearing it like a trophy. I'm Raquel, and until tonight, I thought I was just being paranoid about my missing ring. I'd torn apart my apartment looking for it last week, convinced I must have misplaced it somewhere, but seeing it gleam on Bailey's finger confirmed my worst fears. "Oh, isn't it gorgeous?" Bailey gushed to my Aunt Margaret. "It's my something borrowed for tomorrow. Such a special piece." I gripped my wine glass so hard I thought it might shatter. The ring had been in my jewelry box just 2 weeks ago, when Bailey had come over for coffee. She must have taken it then, while I was in the kitchen brewing our drinks. Taking a deep breath, I approached them. "Bailey, can I speak with you for a moment?" She turned, flashing that perfectly practiced smile. "Of course, future sis." We stepped into a quiet corner of the restaurant. My brother Ruben noticed and started walking over, probably sensing the tension in my posture. "That ring you're wearing," I said, keeping my voice steady. "It's mine, and I never gave you permission to borrow it." Bailey's eyes widened with practiced innocence. "What? No, sweetie, you must be confused. You told me I could use it as my something borrowed. Remember, when we had coffee at your place?" "I never said that." My hands were shaking now. "That ring was James's last gift to me. Please take it off." Ruben reached us just as Bailey's lower lip started trembling. "What's going on?" "Your sister is trying to ruin everything," Bailey sniffled. "She told me I could borrow her ring for the wedding, and now she's taking it back." "Ruben, she's lying," I said, turning to my brother. "That ring disappeared after she visited me. She stole it." The look on Ruben's face made my heart sink. "Raquel, stop it. Why would Bailey need to steal anything? She has her own jewelry." "Because it's not about the jewelry," I said, my voice rising. It's about you not being able to let anyone else be happy." Ruben cut in. "Ever since James died, you've been seeing problems where there aren't any. Bailey asked to borrow the ring, and you agreed. If you've changed your mind, fine, but don't make up stories about theft." Heads were turning now. My mother appeared at my elbow, whispering, "Raquel, honey, maybe we should step outside." "No," I said, pulling away from her. "I want my ring back, now." Bailey wiped at her eyes, smearing her mascara just enough to look devastated, but still pretty. "I can't believe you're doing this to me the night before my wedding." "Ruben, I told you she was jealous of us." "Jealous?" I laughed, the sound harsh, even to my own ears. "Of what? Your ability to lie with a straight face?" "That's enough." Ruben stepped between us. "Raquel, you're making a scene. Bailey will return the ring after the wedding. Until then, I suggest you either calm down or leave." I looked around the room. Every face showed either pity or judgment. Even my mother wouldn't meet my eyes. The only person who seemed concerned was my friend Hamza, watching intently from the bar. "Fine," I said, my voice ice cold. "Keep the ring for now, Bailey, but this isn't over." As I walked away, I heard Bailey's theatrical sobs and Ruben's soothing words. My brother, who used to be my closest ally, now couldn't even see through this obvious manipulation. I grabbed my purse and headed for the exit. Hamza caught up with me in the parking lot. "Hey, wait up," he called. "I saw what happened in there. That was messed up." "You believe me?" I asked, keys jingling in my trembling hands. "Of course I do. I've seen how Bailey operates. She's got everyone wrapped around her finger, but I notice things." He took my keys gently. "Let me drive you home. We can figure this out together." As we pulled out of the parking lot, I caught a glimpse of Bailey through the restaurant window. She was already laughing again, showing off my ring to another group of admirers. My ring, James's last gift. "I'm going to expose her," I said quietly. "I don't care what it takes." Hamza nodded, his expression serious. "I'm with you, and I might have an idea about how to do it." For the first time that evening, I felt a glimmer of hope. Bailey thought she had won, but she had no idea what was coming. Tomorrow wouldn't be the perfect wedding day she'd planned. Not if I had anything to say about it. You want to do what? I stared at Hamza across my kitchen table, coffee growing cold between us. Install micro cameras, he repeated, pulling out his laptop. Look, I do security consulting for a living. These are completely legal and practically invisible. He turned the screen to show me several tiny devices. We put them in strategic locations at the venue, and we'll catch whatever Bailey's really up to. I rubbed my temples. Isn't that a bit extreme? More extreme than stealing a widow's wedding ring. Hamza raised an eyebrow. Besides, I've seen how she acts when she thinks no one's watching. Trust me, there's more going on here than just the ring. My phone buzzed. Mom calling for the third time since last night. I declined it again. Your mother? Hamza asked. I nodded. She left a voicemail saying I need to apologize to Bailey and Ruben before the wedding. I laughed bitterly. Apologize for having my ring stolen. The doorbell rang, making me jump. Through the peephole, I saw my mother's worried face. Speaking of, I opened the door. Mom, I really don't want to. 5 minutes, she said, pushing past me. She stopped short when she saw Hamza. Oh, hello. Mrs. Wolf? Hamza nodded, gathering his things. I'll give you two some privacy. No, stay, I said firmly. Mom, whatever you're going to say, Hamza can hear it. Mom sank into a chair, looking exhausted. Honey, I know you're hurting. The ring meant everything to you, but Bailey is about to become family. She's already shown what kind of family she'll be, I snapped. A thief and a liar. Raquel, please. Mom reached for my hand. Bailey showed me texts from weeks ago where you agreed to loan her the ring. Why are you doing this? What texts? I grabbed her phone. Scrolling through the messages Bailey had shown her, my blood ran cold. These are fake. Mom, I never sent these. Here, Hamza said, taking the phone. Look at the date format. It's different from your actual texts. These were created using a spoofing app. I can prove it. Mom's face fell. But why would she? Because she's not who she pretends to be, I said. And I'm going to prove it. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Ruben, looking angry. We need to talk, he said, barging in. Bailey's been crying all morning because of you. Good, I shot back. Maybe she should think about how I felt when she stole from me. Nobody stole anything, Ruben shouted. Why can't you just be happy for me, ever since James died? Don't. My voice shook. Don't you dare use him against me. Ruben. Hamza stepped forward. Those texts Bailey showed your mom are fake. I can prove it right now. Of course you're taking her side, Ruben scoffed. You've had a thing for my sister since college. The room went silent. Hamza's face reddened, but he kept his cool. This isn't about me, he said quietly. This is about Bailey lying to everyone. And if you weren't so blinded by her act, you'd see it too. My phone buzzed again. This time with a text from Todd, our family friend and local detective. Need to talk. Found something about B's past. Call me. Get out, I told Ruben. Both of you. I love you, but I can't deal with this right now. Raquel, Mom pleaded. The wedding is tomorrow. Please don't do anything rash. Like what? Tell the truth? I opened the door. Goodbye, Mom. After they left, I showed Hamza the text from Todd. Perfect timing, he said. While they're all at the rehearsal this afternoon, I can set up the cameras. We'll have eyes everywhere for the wedding. I don't know, I hesitated. If we're wrong, but we're not wrong. Hamza gripped my shoulders. Raquel, look at me. You're not crazy. You're not jealous. And you're not disrespecting James's memory by standing up for yourself. Tears sprang to my eyes. When did you get so wise? Around the same time you stopped seeing how amazing you are. He cleared his throat, stepping back. So, are we doing this? I thought about my ring, about Bailey's smug smile, about Ruben's blind defense of her lies. I thought about James, and how he always told me to trust my gut. Yes, I said, we're doing this. But first, I need to call Todd. As I dialed his number, I caught my reflection in the window. For the first time since this nightmare began, I recognized the determined woman staring back at me. Bailey had no idea who she was dealing with. By this time tomorrow, everyone would know exactly who was lying and who was telling the truth. 3 previous engagements, I stared at Todd across his desk at the police station. And she never told Ruben about any of them? Todd nodded, sliding photos across the desk. All ended mysteriously within weeks of the wedding date, and in each case, valuable family heirlooms went missing. My hands shook as I looked at the pictures. Bailey with different men, wearing different rings, always with that same practiced smile. "Why isn't she in jail?" Hamza asked, examining the photos. "No one pressed charges," Todd explained. "She's smart, always has an explanation, always returns items after the wedding's called off, claims it was all a misunderstanding." He leaned forward. But this time, she slipped up. One of her ex-fiancés finally came forward. My phone buzzed. A text from Bailey. "Bridesmaid dress fitting in 30 mins. Don't be late, again." "I have to go," I said, standing. "She's already suspicious of me." "Be careful," Todd warned. "Don't let on that we know anything." "And Hamza, you're sure about those cameras?" "Already installed," Hamza replied. "Hidden in the flower arrangements at the venue. We'll catch everything." I arrived at the bridal shop just as Bailey was adjusting her veil. She looked perfect, too perfect. Like everything about her was calculated for maximum effect. "There you are," she trilled, hugging me tight. "I was so worried after our little misunderstanding yesterday." "Water under the bridge," I forced a smile. "The ring looks beautiful on you, doesn't it?" She admired her hand. "You know, I never told anyone this, but I actually had a similar ring once, from an old relationship." My pulse quickened. "Oh? It didn't work out," she sighed dramatically. "He wasn't the one, like Ruben is. Speaking of which," she lowered her voice, "I hope you're not planning any drama tomorrow. It would break Ruben's heart." "Of course not," I lied. "Tomorrow is your day." "Good." She clapped her hands. "Now let's get you in your dress." As I changed, my phone lit up with a message from Hamza. "Camera 3 picked up something interesting. Call when you can." "Everything okay?" Bailey appeared behind me, making me jump. "You seem distracted." "Just wedding jitters," I said. "For you, I mean." She laughed, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You know what's funny? Your ring. It reminds me of something I saw in a jewelry store window once. In fact, I could have sworn I saw the exact same design." My blood ran cold. Was she trying to suggest my ring was fake? "It was custom made," I said firmly. "James designed it himself." "Of course he did." She smiled sweetly. "I'm sure he wanted only the best for you. Such a tragedy. What happened?" Before I could respond, my mother burst into the fitting room. "Girls, the florist just called. There's a problem with tomorrow's arrangements." Bailey immediately switched to crisis mode, rushing out with my mother. I seized the moment to call Hamza. "What did you find?" "Bailey made a call from the venue during setup," he said. "She's planning to lose the ring during the reception. Make it look like it fell into a vent or something. That's her play." I gripped the phone tighter. "Create chaos at the reception and slip away with it." "There's more," Hamza continued. "She was talking to someone about fence." "Raquel?" Bailey's voice cut through the air. "Who are you talking to?" I spun around to find her watching me, head tilted, eyes calculating. "Just checking on work stuff," I said quickly, hanging up. "Work stuff," she repeated slowly. "You know, Ruben told me you've been different since James died. More paranoid, seeing things that aren't there. Is that what you think is happening here?" She stepped closer, dropping her sugary persona. "I think you're lonely and sad, and you can't stand to see your brother happy. But if you try to ruin my wedding—" She touched my arm, her nails digging in slightly. "Well, let's just say I know things about you, too." "Like what?" "Like how that night James died, you two had a fight. He stormed out angry. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? If he hadn't been so upset, maybe he would have seen that truck coming." I felt the blood drain from my face. "How do you—" "I do my research," She smiled, sweet as poison. Now be a good sister-in-law and keep your mouth shut tomorrow. For everyone's sake. She glided out, leaving me shaking. I grabbed my phone and texted Hamza. Change of plans. We need to end this before the wedding ceremony. Not during, not after, before. His response came instantly. On it. Meet me in an hour. And Raquel, we've got her. I looked at myself in the mirror, straightened my spine, and dried my eyes. Bailey thought she could use James against me. Big mistake. Now it wasn't just about the ring anymore, it was about justice. Play it again, I said, leaning closer to Hamza's laptop screen in his home office. The video showed Bailey in the empty venue, phone pressed to her ear. The ring's worth at least 20 grand. Bailey's voice crackled through the speakers. No, I'm not waiting until after the wedding. Things are getting complicated. That nosy sister-in-law is causing problems. Yes, I can meet tonight. Hamza paused the footage. She's meeting someone at midnight behind the Royal Hotel. Todd's already setting up surveillance. My hands trembled as I reached for my coffee. She's going to sell it tonight. James's ring. We won't let that happen. Hamza squeezed my shoulder. Todd's bringing backup. We'll catch her red-handed. My phone lit up. Ruben calling. Again. I declined it. You can't avoid him forever, Hamza said gently. Watch me. I stood up, pacing. He chose her. After everything we've been through, he chose a con artist over his own sister. The doorbell rang, making us both jump. Through Hamza's security camera feed, we saw Ruben standing on the porch. How did he know I was here? I whispered. Mom probably saw your car outside. Hamza sighed. Want me to get rid of him? I shook my head. No, it's time he knew everything. Hamza opened the door. Ruben stormed in, looking exhausted and angry. You're not answering my calls, he said. Bailey's a mess. The wedding's in 12 hours. And, sit down, I cut him off. There's something you need to see. I'm not interested in whatever crazy theory. Sit down. My voice was steel. To my surprise, he did. Hamza played the surveillance footage, then showed him the photos from Todd. With each revelation, Ruben's face grew paler. This has to be a mistake, he whispered. She wouldn't. She's meeting someone tonight to sell my ring, I said. Want to come see for yourself? He buried his face in his hands. Why? Why would she do this? Because that's what she does, Hamza explained. She finds good men, gains their trust, takes what she wants, and disappears. You're not the first. My phone buzzed. A text from Todd. Target on the move. Royal Hotel in 30. We need to go. I told Ruben. Are you coming? He looked up, eyes red. I need to talk to her first. Let me call. No, Hamza and I said simultaneously. If she suspects anything, I explained, she'll run, like she did with the others. Is that what you want? Ruben stood slowly. Let me drive. The Royal Hotel's back parking lot was dark and nearly empty when we arrived. Todd's unmarked car was barely visible in the shadows. There, Hamza whispered, pointing to a figure in black stepping out of a taxi. Bailey. We watched from Ruben's car as she paced nervously, checking her phone. My ring glinted on her finger under the streetlight. A sleek BMW pulled up. A man stepped out, and Bailey immediately transformed. Shoulders back, practiced smile in place. She slipped the ring off her finger. That's enough, Ruben said hoarsely, reaching for the door handle. Wait, I grabbed his arm. Todd needs to... But Ruben was already out of the car, striding toward them. Bailey. She spun around, ring clutched in her fist. The man jumped back into his BMW and sped away. Ruben, her voice was high, panicked. What are you? I can explain. Todd's car roared to life, blocking the parking lot exit. Police lights flashed. Explain what? Ruben's voice broke. How you've done this before. How many times, Bailey? How many other men? She's done it 3 times, I said, stepping out of the shadows. Always targeting family heirlooms. Always running before the wedding. Give me the ring. Ruben held out his hand. Bailey's sweet facade crumbled. You don't understand. None of you do. I deserve nice things. You deserve this, Todd said, approaching with handcuffs. Bailey Hicks, you're under arrest for theft and attempted fraud. As Todd read her rights, Bailey locked eyes with me. I told you to keep your mouth shut. About James. Don't you dare say his name, I snapped. The ring. Now. She dropped it into Reuben's waiting palm. He turned and walked to me, tears streaming down his face. Raquel, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I should have believed you. I took the ring, sliding it back where it belonged. The weight was familiar, comforting. James would have been proud. Come on, Hamza said softly. Let's get out of here. As we drove away, leaving Todd to handle Bailey, Reuben asked quietly, what do I tell everyone? The wedding's in a few hours. I looked at my ring, then at my brother. We tell them the truth, and then we start healing. Together. The morning sun streamed through my kitchen window. As I poured coffee for Reuben, he hadn't slept. None of us had. Hamza was sprawled on my couch, laptop still open from a night of compiling evidence. Mom's handling the venue cancellations, Reuben said, voice hoarse. Dad's calling the guests. I still can't believe. The doorbell interrupted him. Todd stood outside, looking grim. We have a problem, he said, stepping inside. Bailey made bail. What? I nearly dropped my mug. How? Someone posted it for her, and there's more. Todd pulled out his phone. She's been making calls to your other family members, your friends, spinning quite a story. My own phone buzzed, a series of angry messages from cousins and aunts, each one worse than the last. She's telling people I set her up, I read aloud, that I planted evidence because I'm unstable since James died? My hands started shaking. Classic Darvo, Hamza said, sitting up. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. She's trying to get ahead of the story. The phone rang, an unknown number. I answered on speaker. Hello, Raquel? Bailey's voice was eerily calm. Having a nice morning? You've got nerve, Reuben snapped. Oh good, you're there too, she purred. Listen carefully. In 1 hour, I'm meeting with a reporter from the Daily Tribune. I'm going to tell them how your mentally unstable sister, still grieving her dead husband, orchestrated this whole thing to ruin our wedding. With what proof? I demanded. I have texts, emails, friends who'll verify your episodes. And let's not forget about that fight with James, the night he died. How you told him you wished he'd never proposed. My blood ran cold. That fight had been about paint colors for our new house. It was nothing, but Bailey would twist it, make it ugly. Nobody will believe you, Hamza said. They already do. Bailey laughed. Check social media. Shutdags pray. For Bailey is trending locally. Poor bride, targeted by her jealous future sister-in-law. What do you want? Reuben asked quietly. Drop the charges, return my things from the police station. And Raquel, her voice hardened, make a public statement taking responsibility for everything. Do this, and I disappear. Don't, and I destroy what's left of your reputation. The line went dead. She's bluffing, Hamza said, but he was already typing furiously. Oh shit. He turned his laptop around. Local Facebook groups were buzzing with sympathetic posts about Bailey. My social media was flooding with angry messages. We can't let her win, I said. Not after everything. We won't, Todd assured me, because she made one crucial mistake. Hamza, show them. Hamza clicked through files until he found what Todd meant. Security footage from a jewelry store, dated 3 months ago. Bailey was there, selling a diamond ring. That's Margaret's ring, Reuben breathed. My ex-girlfriend's grandmother's ring. It went missing right before Bailey and I started dating. Margaret was devastated. She's been doing this for years, Todd explained. But she usually waited until after engaging with the family to start stealing. This time, she started before, and she got sloppy. My phone buzzed again, Mom calling. Honey, she said when I answered. I've been thinking about what Bailey said about that night with James. Mom, don't. Let me finish. I remember that night. You called me after he left, laughing about how you'd both gotten so worked up over paint swatches. You were going to surprise him with his favorite takeout as an apology. Her voice cracked. That accident wasn't your fault. And I won't let her use James's memory like this. Tears rolled down my cheeks as Reuben hugged me. Okay, Hamza stood up, determined. Here's what we do. Todd, get that jewelry store footage to the DA. Reuben, call Margaret. We need her testimony. I'll start documenting Bailey's social media manipulation. And me? I asked, wiping my eyes. You, he smiled, are going to tell your story. The real story. Before Bailey's interview, we're going to release everything. The evidence, the pattern, all of it. But most importantly, we're going to show everyone who she really is. Won't that just make me look more vindictive? I worried. No, Reuben said firmly. It'll make you look like what you are, someone who stood up to a predator, someone who protected our family, even when I was too blind to see it. My phone lit up with another unknown number. Bailey again, probably with more threats. Let it ring, Todd advised. We have work to do. I looked at my ring, remembering James's smile when he gave it to me. He'd always said the truth had a way of coming out. Now it was time to prove him right. Okay, I said, straightening my shoulders. Let's take her down, the right way. Are you ready? Hamza adjusted the lighting in his home studio. The live stream was set to begin in 5 minutes. No, I admitted, adjusting my microphone. But it doesn't matter. We have to do this before Bailey's interview. Margaret, Reuben's ex-girlfriend, squeezed my hand. We're all here with you. She touched the empty space on her finger where her grandmother's ring had been. It's time everyone knew the truth. Reuben paced behind the cameras. The Daily Tribune reporter just arrived at Bailey's hotel. We need to move fast. 30 seconds, Hamza called out. Remember, just tell your story. Todd will handle the evidence portion. The red light blinked on. I took a deep breath. Hi, I'm Raquel. You might have seen posts about me today, calling me unstable, jealous, vindictive. I'd like to tell you what really happened. As I spoke, Hamza displayed the evidence on split screen. Security footage, police reports, photographs. The viewer count climbed rapidly. This isn't just about my ring, I continued. It's about a pattern of behavior that's hurt multiple families. I nodded to Margaret. She leaned forward. 3 months before Bailey started dating Reuben, she befriended me at a yoga class. She came to family dinners, gained our trust. Then my grandmother's ring vanished. The police just found footage of Bailey selling it. Todd stepped into frame. We've documented similar cases in 3 other cities. The pattern is identical. Bailey infiltrates families, steals sentimental jewelry, and disappears before the wedding. My phone buzzed violently. Bailey calling. I declined it. She's watching, Hamza whispered, checking his monitor. Viewer count just hit 10,000. Suddenly, Bailey's face appeared in the comments section, requesting to join the live stream. Should we? Hamza asked. I nodded. Let her try to explain. Bailey's image popped up on split screen, her makeup perfectly crisis appropriate. Raquel, how dare you? These are all lies. Really? I held up my phone, playing her threat from earlier. Her voice filled the stream. Make a public statement taking responsibility for everything. Do this, and I disappear. Bailey's composed facade cracked. That's edited. You're trying to frame me. Like you tried to frame me, I countered. Using James's death against me? Speaking of James, Reuben stepped into frame. Bailey, the police just found something interesting in your storage unit. Want to explain the collection of engagement rings? Bailey's eyes widened. She hadn't known about that raid. Those are mine. Gifts from your previous marks, Todd interrupted. We've identified 6 of them already, currently contacting their families. The comments section exploded. More victims were coming forward, sharing similar stories. You don't understand, Bailey's voice rose hysterically. I deserve those things. These rich families, hoarding their precious heirlooms. My James wasn't rich, I cut in. He worked double shifts to afford my ring. The ring you were going to sell tonight. Wait, Ruben said, staring at his phone. Bailey, is that a plane ticket confirmation email I'm seeing? For tonight? Bailey's screen went black. She's running, Todd said, already moving. I've got units heading to the airport. The live stream count had reached 50,000. Comments flooded in. Support, similar stories, people sharing Bailey's photo and warning others. I have to go, Todd announced. The DA's expediting the arrest warrant. Hamza, send everything to my office. After Todd left, I turned back to the camera. To everyone watching, thank you. If Bailey has hurt your family, please contact the police. And to Bailey, I held up my ring. You picked the wrong family to mess with. Hamza ended the stream. My phone immediately exploded with notifications, messages of support, apologies from those who doubted me, media requests. They got her, Ruben announced 30 minutes later, hanging up his phone. At the airport, she had 3 more rings in her carry-on. Margaret burst into tears. Was my grandmother's? He nodded. They're bringing it to the station now. I slumped in my chair, exhausted. It's really over? Almost, Hamza said, showing me his laptop. Bailey's interview just came out, but instead of her version, they ran the whole story, including evidence from our live stream. She's done. Ruben pulled me into a hug. I'm so sorry I didn't believe you at first. I should have known. Hey, I stopped him. You know now, that's what matters. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from Mom. James would be so proud of you today. We all are. I touched my ring, feeling its familiar weight. Bailey had tried to use my past against me, but she'd failed to understand something crucial. Our memories, our love, our family bonds. They weren't weaknesses to exploit. They were our strength. And now, finally, justice had been served. The police station buzzed with activity as more victims came forward. I sat with Ruben in Todd's office, watching the growing pile of evidence on his desk. 12 rings, Todd said, carefully laying out the recovered jewelry. All stolen from families across 3 states. Bailey's looking at serious time. Margaret burst through the door, tears streaming down her face. They found it. She held up her grandmother's ring, with trembling hands. I never thought I'd see it again. Ruben hugged her tightly. Something in their embrace made me wonder if maybe some good might come from this mess after all. Detective, an officer knocked. Bailey's asking to speak with Raquel. Says she'll only talk to her. Everyone turned to me. You don't have to, Hamza said from his corner of the room. He hadn't left my side since the live stream. Yes, I do. I stood up. I need to hear what she has to say. Todd led me to the interview room. Bailey sat there in her designer clothes, makeup still perfect, despite everything. But her eyes were different now, harder, angrier. Well, she said, as I sat down, you must be feeling pretty proud of yourself. That's what you wanted to say to me? No, she leaned forward. I wanted to tell you that you're just like me. I raised an eyebrow. How do you figure that? We both know what it's like to want something so badly it hurts. You with your precious memories of James, me with, she gestured vaguely, everything I never had. The difference is, I don't steal from people to get what I want. No? She smiled coldly. What do you call what you did to me? You stole my wedding day, my future, You stole those things yourself, I interrupted. The moment you decided to target my brother, to steal my ring, to use James's death against me. James, she mocked. You know what your problem is. You're stuck in the past. At least I was trying to build a future. By destroying other people's lives? By taking what I deserved. She slammed her hands on the table. Do you know what it's like to grow up with nothing? To watch other people flash their family heirlooms, their precious memories. So you decided to take them, to hurt innocent people. I decided to win. Her voice was ice. And I would have, if you hadn't been so annoyingly persistent. I stood up. You know what, Bailey? I actually feel sorry for you. Because while you were so busy stealing other people's treasures, You missed out on making your own memories, your own connections. Save your pity, she spat. This isn't over. Actually, it is. I reached for the door. Goodbye, Bailey. Outside, Reuben waited with Mom and Dad, who'd just arrived. What did she say? Mom asked, hugging me. Nothing worth repeating, I replied. Where's Margaret? Getting coffee with Hamza, Dad said, a knowing smile on his face. They're planning to help Todd catalog all the recovered items. Speaking of items, Todd emerged from his office. Raquel, we're done processing your ring as evidence. You can take it home now. As he handed it to me, I noticed something odd about the setting. Wait, there's an inscription I never saw before. Reuben peered over my shoulder as I read the tiny words. Our love story is just beginning. James must have added that before. Mom's voice trailed off. I slipped the ring back on, tears welling up. He was right, you know. Our love story didn't end when he died. It's in every person who stood by me through this. It's in the truth finally coming out. And speaking of truth coming out, Hamza appeared with Margaret, both holding coffee cups and standing suspiciously close together. The media's outside. They want statements. Let them wait, Dad said firmly. Right now, I think we all need dinner, together, as a family. Pizza at my place, I suggested. Like old times? With extra pepperoni, Reuben grinned. Margaret, Hamza, you're coming too, right? They exchanged glances, both blushing slightly. Wouldn't miss it, Margaret said. As we walked out the back entrance to avoid the press, I caught a glimpse of Bailey being led to a transport vehicle. She looked small now, all her manipulative power stripped away. You okay? Hamza asked softly. I touched my ring, feeling its familiar weight. Yeah, I really am, and I meant it. Because while Bailey had tried to steal my precious memories, she'd inadvertently helped create new ones. She'd brought my family closer, helped forge new connections, and reminded us all of what really matters. Come on, I said, linking arms with Mom and Reuben. Let's go home. Behind us, the police station doors closed on Bailey and her web of lies. Ahead of us stretched a future full of possibility. And this time, every memory would be genuine, every moment earned, every connection real, just as James would have wanted. The autumn breeze rustled through the cemetery as I placed fresh flowers on James's grave. Behind me, leaves crunched under approaching footsteps. Thought I'd find you here, Reuben said softly, sitting beside me. Court's in session. I know. I traced James's name on the headstone. Todd texted. Bailey's pleading guilty. Smart move, considering the evidence. He pulled out his phone. 12 counts of theft, fraud, and attempting to sell stolen property. She's looking at 7 to 10 years. I stood up, brushing grass from my knees. Ready to go? Actually, Reuben fidgeted. I wanted to talk to you about something first, about Margaret. You mean how you two have been having secret coffee dates for the past 3 weeks? He blushed. How did you? Hamza told me. He and Margaret get lunch together every Thursday, remember? She told him everything. Right, Hamza. Reuben smiled. You know, he's been good for you. For all of us, really. He has, I agreed. Thinking of how Hamza had become such a constant presence in our lives since the Bailey incident. So what about Margaret? I'm taking her to dinner tonight. To apologize properly for everything that happened before. For not believing her when her grandmother's ring disappeared. For letting Bailey manipulate me. That's good, Reuben. Margaret deserves that. She deserves better, he corrected. We all did. I just couldn't see it then. My phone buzzed. Hamza calling. Hey, what's up? Where are you? He sounded excited. You need to get to the courthouse. Now. Why? What's happening? Remember those other families Bailey stole from? They're all here, and they brought something for you. 30 minutes later, I walked into the courthouse lobby to find it packed with people. Todd stood with a group of women, all holding recovered rings and jewelry. There she is. An elderly woman approached me. You're Raquel? The one who exposed Bailey. I nodded, and suddenly I was surrounded by hugs and tears and thank yous. My mother's wedding band, one woman said, showing me her ring. I thought it was gone forever. My grandmother's locket, another added, 3 generations of photos inside. You gave us back our memories, the elderly woman said, squeezing my hand. We wanted to thank you properly. Todd stepped forward with a small box. They all pitched in, even found the original artist. Inside was a delicate silver necklace with a pendant shaped like a ring. Engraved on it were the words, "Some treasures can't be stolen." I don't know what to say, I whispered. Say you'll join us, Todd suggested. Bailey's sentencing is in 10 minutes. These families want to make their victim impact statements, but they'd like you there. You gave them their voice back. In the courtroom, I sat between Hamza and Reuben. As Bailey was led in, she looked different now, prison clothes instead of designer wear, no makeup to hide behind. She didn't look at any of us. One by one, the families spoke. They talked about trust betrayed, memories nearly lost, the pain of thinking their precious heirlooms were gone forever. Bailey stared straight ahead, unmoved. Then the judge spoke. Ms. Hicks, you didn't just steal jewelry. You stole trust, memories, family histories. 10 years, no possibility of early parole. As Bailey was led away, she finally looked at me. No anger now, just emptiness. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Outside the courthouse, surrounded by grateful families and cameras, Hamza pulled me aside. You okay? Better than okay, I said, touching my new necklace. Just thinking about what Bailey said, about me being stuck in the past with James. And she was wrong. James isn't my past. He's part of who I am. Just like this ring, these memories, this family we've built. It's not about being stuck. It's about carrying the best parts forward. Hamza's hand found mine. Speaking of forward, finally, Reuben called out, making us jump apart. I thought you two would never figure it out. Margaret appeared beside him, grinning. Pay up, babe. I told you they'd get there before Christmas. I laughed, really laughed, for what felt like the first time in ages. Around us, families hugged and celebrated. Reporters packed up their cameras, and life moved forward, not leaving the past behind, but carrying its precious pieces with us. Dinner, Hamza suggested. All of us? Actually, I smiled, squeezing his hand. I think it's time for something new, just us. As we walked away, I touched my ring, then my new necklace. Bailey had tried to steal my treasures, but she'd failed to understand the most important thing. Real treasures aren't the ones you can lock away in a jewelry box. They're the moments, the memories, the connections that no one can ever really steal. And I was ready to make some new ones.